Welcome to this week's episode of Gods and Monsters by E. E. King, read by me, E. E. King. Each week, MetaStellar releases an episode of Gods and Monsters, both in print and read by me on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. And now, episode 11, Cool Gray City of Love. Last week, Gabriel finds Mike's pawn shop and buys stones for his vampire teeth necklaces. He also buys an odd coin, which he hangs around his neck. He quits his job at Club Vamp. Ryo's ghost tells River about orchids. Chapter 30, River. San Francisco, 1981. The stealthy drunk. River has never been able to follow Gabriel before. Whenever Gabriel left, River had been in the booth. Now he ambles after him. River knows enough not to try and be stealthy. He has seen Gabriel dance. Instead, River staggers. Occasionally, he yells a curse into the unlistening night. He knows that Gabriel can outrun him. He imagines that Gabriel is listening for footsteps in the night, no matter how soft, no matter how still. But he hopes that Gabriel will ignore a drunken man tottering homeward after a binge. It works. Gabriel pays no attention to the teetering steps behind. He glides through the night like a memory, elegant and insubstantial as vapor, fleeting as fragrance, ephemeral as love. Gabriel winds his way home, back to the basement where teeth and chains wait to be fastened into beacons. He looks up only once when the silhouette of a crow, dark as an unlit sky, flies overhead, cawing. River lurches to the entrance of Gabriel's apartment. The hotel tailgate rises into the night like a dirty finger. Rooms rented daily, weekly, or monthly, reads a sign above the door. River tries the door, but it's locked. He briefly considers moving into the building to be near his prey, but when Huck, spiraling onto his shoulder, digs sharp claws into his flesh, the idea is driven out of his head by an onslaught of pain. Chapter 31, Gabriel, San Francisco, 1981, Cool Gray City of Love. Gabriel never returns to the club. He needs to sell his jewelry. Gabriel has never felt anything so intensely. In fact, Gabriel rarely feels it all. He is a creature of essence and desire. He buys velvet boxes of green and dark burgundy, somber as coffins, to cradle his creations. He purchases a soft leather bag to carry his wares. It smells of distant places, of memories, of heartache and longing. He prowls the city, small arty boutiques, quaint bookshops, exclusive jewelry stores, even hard-on leather boutiques. The necklaces call to people. Shop owners need to hold them. They lie in the palms, strangely warm, radiating light, peace, and color like tangible wishes. Occult store managers feel psychic for the first time, the future becoming distinct and visible. Women proprietors blister with beauty. Men feel suddenly confident. The necklaces are wildly popular. Gabriel should have been too, with his unnatural good looks and perfect form, but he is not. Despite the call of the necklaces, no one will carry them. No one wants to deal with Gabriel. Gabriel spends afternoons fashioning pieces in the basement, visiting Mike's, combing the shops, hoping to find a place that will buy his jewelry. Gabriel's necklaces The cold progeny of his fingers multiply. Prisms of light dance round his apartment, painting the walls in hummingbird pigment. Tinctures seep into the walls, rainbows pulsing from their molecules. Waterfalls of iridescence drip down into the orchids, feeding them with color, light, and evil intent. Their petals open wide. Alien masks wave on slender stalks. The plants are lush and sensual. Blossoms like hungry organs, moist as sex, an exotic jungle draping the window. Even though there is no breeze, Gabriel hammers orchids beat against his window with delicate burgundy mallet lips. Chapter 32, River, Healdsburg, 1960, The Hammer Orchid. The hammer orchid resembles the female thynid's wasp, Ryo tells River. Females are flightless. When the season for love dawns, the thymins climb to the top of a plant. She sends pheromones, the perfume of love, into the air, waiting for some male Lochinvar thymins to swoop in and fly away with her, mating in midair. What? Asks River. Is a Lochinvar. Is it a kind of orchid? No, Ryo laughs. It's a lover boy, a Casanova, someone the ladies like. Like you? River asks. Mom says you are irresistible to a certain kind of girl. Ryo laughs again, uneasily this time. Hammer orchids perch on a stem's tip, looking like a demure, shy female. They too waft pheromones into the air, drawn by scent, deceived by sight. Thynid males spend their love on eggless petals. How come they don't die off then? River asks. He has already learned about extinction, already knows that it takes at least two, sometimes a whole flock, to keep a species alive and healthy. Good question, Ryo says. The wasps can still have babies because, unlike people, female thynids can reproduce parthenogenically. That's a long word, meaning that females don't need males in order to have babies. They can do it all by themselves. But if they do reproduce parthenogenically, the babies will all be boys, which is just what the hammer orchid wants. Because what do boys do? Ryo wags his finger like a wasp trying to grab a flower. Males, River says, trying to sound like a scientist, pollinate hammer orchids. Good boy, Ryo says. River doesn't understand everything his uncle tells him, but he gets the main points. Hearing Ryo is like listening to a poem that's real. Chapter 33, Gabrielle, San Francisco, 1982. Green Tears. Gabriel spends his nights prowling the streets, a peripatetic flower in search of a mate. He can smell vampires. Not, oddly enough, the scent of blood, but its absence. San Francisco has a wealth of vampires. The city calls to them. Perhaps it is the early morning fog that keeps the sun from their flesh a little bit longer than most places. Perhaps it is the nightlife. Perhaps it is the dearth of werewolves who tend toward more rural haunts. Or maybe they just feel at home in the cool gray city of love. Gabriel's very being summons his mother's people. They are drawn to him as a moth to flame. Soft bodies drawn to his beauty as to light. Perhaps it is a scent of danger that emanates from him. Perhaps it is the aroma of mortality. Gabriel travels at night. River, waiting in the shadows, follows. Usually he loses Gabrielle about some dark curve or unspecified alley. The only way River even knows the direction Gabrielle has gone is by the following bodies of the Luna moths, whose luminous wings flutter on the hard streets like pale green snow. At best of times, River hears Rio saying, Luna moths live only 1 week. They do not have mouths. They cannot eat. They emerge solely to mate, then fall like tears, dissolving faster than first love. Sometimes River sees Gabrielle take the white, perfect arm of a lovely stranger, a man or a woman, a boy or a girl. They disappear together around a corner or into an alley, leaving only the recollection of something beautiful and deadly, which disperses as quickly as smoke in the wind. River is left standing alone in the fog, and the dark, exhausted, and empty. Huck, his sole companion. Gabrielle is not gay or trans or bi or straight. He's not human and therefore cannot be viewed in her human terms any more than reef fish that change sex mid-current can be labeled transgender, or the many species that reproduce parthenogenically by virgin birth can be judged to be especially beloved by God. Sex is of no more import to Gabrielle than love or friendship, laughter or pain. His only needs are for his crystal creations and the beautiful strangers of the night. Somehow they are inextricably linked, one to the other, both calling Gabrielle like the migratory restlessness of birds. Chapter 34, River, San Francisco, 1982. Sweets. Some nights, when River has lost the scent again and stands alone and lonely, when fog is banished by sea breezes and the moon shines brilliant, bleaching the city white, River's hair rises, caressed by unseen electric fingers. Above the sounds of the city, a mournful howl ascends, calling a forgotten past, an unknown future. River pours his fear and frustration into mixing bowls, blending equal parts of hope, fear, and longing to an ever-expanding array of confections. The neighborhood around JoJo's has become famous for harmony and understanding. Principals buy treats for their entire schools. It's expensive, but well worth classrooms filled with sweet-tempered, empathic children. Therapists have standing offers for River's cranberry muffins, which seem to calm anxious patients. Spiced cookies give insomniacs an uninterrupted night's sleep for the first time ever. Prescriptions for Valium, Prozac, and sleeping pills remain unfilled. Pharmacists wonder why business is slow. Some worry they might go broke. But when their noses lead them to JoJo's, a single bite of pie quiets their fears. They expand, offering not just medicine, but arrays of scented oils, flowers, and greeting cards. Men stop beating their wives. Children clean their rooms. Only Wang Li Ju is able to resist the aroma of forgiveness and friendship. Thank you for joining me. Join us next week when River stabs at his steak, trying to hack it in two. As Pam comes back carrying his soup, a final vicious swipe sends half the steak spinning across the counter, narrowly missing Pam. It hits the soup bowl, sending a stream of hot, greasy orange liquid onto the wall. Small cubed vegetables dribble down the wall. After what seems like an eternity, he hears a snort. Pamela is bent almost doubled over, laughing. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next week.